Hello, in this demonstration, I'm going to do a negative and positive shape painting using Matisse cutouts for inspiration. And I'm going to use those cutouts. I'm going to overlay them on old crappy paintings, which we all have tons of, and see if I can transform those paintings into something else. So the first thing I did is I'm going to use these old file folders, and this is probably maybe the most important part. You can freehand cut this out like Matisse did. I'm not going to. Um, it could be something recognizable, or it could just be shapes. I made sort of this, I don't know what this is, wonky plant. Okay. So you can spend some time figuring out, do I want it to be something sort of recognizable or just go more abstract? Then you're going to cut this out, and you're going to get two things. You're going to get a positive shape, and you're going to get a negative shape. Okay. Then you go get your old crappy painting. This one's okay. It was just, I think it was just a study for Charles Arnoldi for another lesson. It's just okay. So if I put this on top, I can move this around almost like a viewfinder to figure out an area that I might want to keep. Okay, then, so that's one. I'll show you the reverse. I can trace this one too. This one, this would be more solid. And so I would probably end up painting this out solid and keeping this background. Either way, I've got a trace. So I'm going to go kind of like this lining up with this line. I'm going to trace it with my charcoal pencil. So I'm going to keep the areas I like and get rid of the ones I don't, or at least push them back. Okay, so I've got this outlined, kind of hard to see. Then I could come in and paint some of these areas out with another paint color or gesso. So I'm going to show you two that I worked on before, and then I'll come back to this one. So here's a painting. This was the background. And I masked this off. So the plant shape with the pot, that's the negative shape. Here, I have it, the plant as a solid. I'll probably come back and do more work on the pot or the flower. So I could treat this form as a solid or as a negative. I hope that makes sense. All right. And I like working with the gesso. It kind of buys me some time to not have to think about what the colors are going to be that I'm going to use. So I'm going to start with the gesso. I'm just going to paint out the plant form. I'm going to leave the pot alone because I think that's kind of interesting. This makes a nice pot shape there. So I'm going to paint out this plant form with my gesso in a non-fussy, quick manner. Some of these places it's kind of hard to see. Okay. All right. To this. All right, there we go. So with the gesso, it's a little bit transparent, so I can still see some of the color below, which I like. I can, if I want to do some sgraffito in there to add some texture, that's kind of fun. I'm going to have to let this dry out in the sun, and then I'll come back and I'll do some more painting on top. Okay, now I'm actually going to come in with some color here so that my pot stands out. I'm going to use this same blue. If I can get my tube of paint open, which I'm struggling with here. Okay, I'm going to use a light phthalo blue. And I'm just going to very quickly, with a slightly damp brush, scrub in there. Yeah, and I can't see where that pot is. Okay. That comes over to there. All right. Okay, so I think you can see how I'm transforming this painting. This almost is like a sunset. Maybe this is ocean. Here's my pot. Perhaps it's in a window. I'm going to go over to the other side. I don't want to completely get rid of this background color. I've added water now, so now I can go more of a wash. So I'm using the background as part of my painting. If I cover up too much, I can use a damp rag and pull some of that color back. I can keep drawing with my charcoal pencil to refine things a little bit. And then after the gesso dries, I'll come in and shift that color a bit. So I'm starting to transform that painting into something new. I'm going to shift gears while that's drying and go to this one. Yeah, I think I'll just work on this one. Okay, so the gesso, I put a transparent wash of acrylic ink on there. I'm going to do the same for the pot using a burnt umber liquid acrylic. Again, I'm drawing with my charcoal pencil. If I wanted to add some texture in there, I could. I like the gesso because it gives it a little bit of, sort of illuminates it, I guess. All right, again, I can wipe away with my rag. I'm going to add more sap green to here. I just started playing with these acrylic inks. I like them. They make a really nice transparency. So I could come back and do some patterning on there if I want. Okay, so there's that one. Now I'm going to come back to, where's my other one? Okay, so this one's a little bit more abstracted. These dots on the background that were already there were gesso, so I'm going to play with some charcoal pencil and just making some patterns on there. And then I'm going to go over with this transparent neon pink acrylic and see what I get. Yep, that gesso is a great background for these transparent acrylic washes. Okay, so it's almost like the plant, it's like a cutout window that I'm looking at that plant. Okay, so those are negative and positive shape painting, transforming old paintings. Some different approaches here. This is still a little too wet for me to complete. Maybe I'll just try one more thing. I'm going to see what happens if I put this transparent acrylic ink over the gesso, even though it's still wet. Seems to be okay. It's going to mix a little bit here. Yeah, it's going to mix and become more pastel-y, but you know, that's okay. This is kind of fun, just mashing the paint around. And do some sgraffito, scratch in, see the colors below. And I think you get the basic idea. There's obviously much more I could do here, but that is negative and positive shape painting, transforming old crappy paintings into hopefully new and exciting ones. So utilizing the underpainting to your advantage. Okay,